Call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the Committee of Adjustment meeting of February 11, 2020. My name is Ron Chatta, Committee Chair for today's meeting. This is a meeting of Committee of Adjustment. The Committee of Adjustment is composed of 5 citizen members who are appointed by Brampton City Council. The committee is authorized by Ontario Planning Act to consider applications for minor variance from the provision of the City of Brampton zoning bylaw. The committee also consider applications for consent, sometime referred to as land division applications, which include severing a new lot from an existing lot, a lot addition easement, mortgages, or leases in excess of 21 years. I would like to introduce the committee members. To my immediate left member, Desiree Dorfler. To my far left member, Rod Power. To my immediate right member, David Cope. And my name is Ron Chatta, Committee Chair. Member Anna Christina Marcus is absent from today's meeting and has sent her regrets. Seated at the table in front of Committee of Adjustment, Ms. Jeannie Meyer, Secretary Treasurer of Committee of Adjustment. And seated near the podium, we have city staff who will assist the committee today. Staff, may I have your introduction, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, my name is Elizabeth Corazola. I'm the Manager of Zoning and Sign Bylaw Services.
Good morning. My name is Carolyn Crozier, Manager of Development Services.
Nasser Mehmood from the Planning Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Manpreet Sian, Development Services.
Thank you. Before we consider today's application, the committee has some procedural matter to take care of. The first is adoptions of the minute. The minutes of the meeting held on January 21st, 2020 has been presented in today's agenda. Committee members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Seeing none, looking for a motion to proceed. Adoption of the minutes by Mr. Powers, seconded by Ms. Toffler. All in favor? Approve. The next item we have is declaration of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Does any member have any declaration of pecuniary interest to declare of any matter being discussed today? Seeing none. Now we move on to withdrawals and deferrals. For this meeting, we have one, deferral request, staff supporting deferral request. Any other application? Anybody else wants to withdraw or deferral any of the application today? The one we have is application A 2020-003-2838 Bowie Drive West. Do we have anyone present? Sir, if you can please come forward. Your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Nino Matarolo. I'm at 2838 Boulevard Avenue West, Drive West. It's
Okay.
my daughter Elise.
Okay. I remember roughly around 3 years back, I saw, as far as my memory is not that bad, so still trying to remember.
Good memory.
So
Yes.
anything you wish us to add, if you can please?
This camp that we're running is for kids with learning disabilities, with special needs, with kids that can't afford to go to camp, and just regular aged elementary school kids. And last year was
Our grand opening.
it was like our grand opening, and we did do some camp, but it still was difficult in regards to because we had the restrictions in that it wasn't year round. Now we're applying for year round, and we're applying for no restrictions, but it still is a little bit more difficult because when the parents come in, because they come for a tour, they take a look at the facility and they love it. Actually, Mayor Brown and Councillor Willems and Councillor Pileski were there, and they also loved it. It's just that the facilities we're restricted to have porta potties, and the kids, especially special needs kids, are not very. They don't like it, right? It's difficult for them to get used to the porta potties. Plus, we're looking at, there are structures at the facility, and we were asked if we're going to make any alterations, and build any buildings. We're not going to do that. There's buildings there that would be could be used for the kids as well, like,
Well,
we do a lot of.
everything is up to code.
Yeah.
Just to the applicant, I just want to remind respectfully, you can continue in discussions, but the first we are dealing with a deferral request.
Okay,
We are not dealing with the application yet.
Okay, so the request is for year-round, no restrictions, right?
That part I understand, sir, but you didn't get my point.
Oh, sorry.
So at this point, what we have in your application, to defer it to a future date, not to.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I was.
So if you
I
can
was
talk
just
about it a little
notified
bit.
that, Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because I thought we were gonna do everything today, but now it's been pushed back till in March sometime. Right, it's supposed to, I don't know.
Okay, we'll get to listen to the staff. Could members, any question at this point? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, staff, could you please weigh in your comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff does not have any objection to the deferral of this application to a future meeting. Just briefly share with the committee, the reason this application is being deferred in consultation with the applicant is that there are some building safety, Ontario Building Code and services related issues, which the staff needs to look into before determining whether this is the property and the buildings are good for a year-round use. And the applicant agrees with that, so we don't have any objection to the deferral request. Thank you.
Just for the record, I would like to include a letter from Ministry of Transportation. And this property is outside MTO permit control area, but inside the MTO GTAA study area. Therefore, any changes to the structure and signage, so forth, will require MTO review and approval, and other comments will be forthcoming when ready. So I just wanted to include this letter for the record. Any idea by when we can have all the comments ready, all the departments on the same page? I don't want to go into, I don't want to see them in front of us in next 2 months or 1.5 months date and then asking for another deferral that, we were not able to. I know sometimes we can't control things, but it's just for the circulation purpose and for them, since they're already in front of us. I'd like to discuss about some time frame which is good for everybody, and we can get things done within that time. At least we get all the comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think deferral for a few months, say 3 months, should be enough.
Okay. Sir, are you okay with that?
I thought we'd do it in March. 3 months is,
You know
It's
what,
only
I like to deal with it today.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
want to
me
wait till
too.
March, right?
Well, we just
But
have March break,
Yeah.
so that's why.
yeah.
That may affect your business,
Yeah, very much so.
but within the current approval, you're okay to conduct your business in March.
We could, again, we were in the obstacle of the washroom thing. We can get porta potties, but
It's just like a space sensitivity for children with sensory needs and
Yeah.
stuff. It's so difficult for them.
Mhm.
So it's our main issue.
The problem we have is today we are in February the 11th, right?
yes.
Any new information for the meeting in March? Maybe the deadline already passed. I believe there's 2 meetings in month of March. Even if I suggest you end of March meeting, that won't
the
work for you.
deadline's passed. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Just to double check, Ms. Myers, what is the last day of submission for the meeting, the second meeting in March?
Through the chair, the deadline for filing new information for the March 24th hearing date is February 25th.
So having said that, you have only roughly around 10-12 days. And if you can submit everything, and I don't think so, staff can work with all the departments in next 12 days or so in order for us to accommodate you in the March 24th meeting. So 3 months is, I think, reasonable time. What we should look in March, April, maybe any meeting beginning of May. Do we have one meeting or two meetings, Ms. Myers?
Through the chair, I can confirm that for May, we have a meeting scheduled for May 5th with a filing submission deadline April 7th. There is also a meeting in May, on May 26th, and the filing submission deadline is April 28th.
Okay. So staff, which one is good for you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the May 5th, did you say?
Yep.
Yeah, May 5th.
With the any new information filing submission deadline is April the 7th.
Yeah, my view is that staff is requesting 3 months deferral, but if those issues are resolved before that, I mean, before the end of the 3 months period, staff could request the Secretary Treasurer to schedule it soon.
So how about this, we put this condition up to 3 months if you can please work with them, and if you have information available before, we can maybe bring them earlier. Is
Yeah.
that fair?
Yeah, that works for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's been in Daniel's been in contact with us, yeah, he's been very.
Yes, he's very good, kind
Yes.
gentleman.
Yes, yes.
He always work with everybody.
He's very
That's good.
So I want to ask one more question. So then,
Sure.
today we're here, and because we're a nonprofit, and to be here, we have to spend money to be here, right?
Yes,
Do
we
I
all
have to
do,
do it-
sir.
Do I have to do it again?
No,
No.
within the deferral period, you
Oh.
don't.
Okay, good.
Yeah, within,
Because. so- okay, so
if
we're
you
good.
get, if we make any decision today and then you're coming back, then you do.
Okay, okay, good.
So
Okay,
that's why, that's why my suggestion was to come in front of us when we have all the comments from all the related departments, and the staff is comfortable in making their decision and
Yes,
suggesting us.
And I did speak to Nazir too, like, he's gonna take a tour, they're gonna come down and take a look at it to see, to observe it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just to see because talking about it now, you have to have a visual to see what it's actually
Exactly.
like, and, yeah, and we appreciate that. We just
Thank
wanna
you.
get things going and be safe for the kids.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that's all. I'm gonna make sure.
So what I would like to see I would like to defer this application till end of May meeting, which is May 26th, I believe, up to May 26th. So that's what I would suggest, committee members.
Okay,
And if they have any information before, they can be in front of us in the beginning of May with the proper filing deadline. So looking for a motion to proceed this application to defer up to May 26th hearing by Mr. Power, seconded by Ms. Toffler. All in favor? This is deferred. Thank you, sir.
thank
See
you
you
very
in your
much.
future.
Have a good day, bye-bye.
You too. Anybody else at this point wishes to withdraw or seeking a future date of their application? Now is the time. Last call, seeing none. Okay, we move on to for those unfamiliar with the Committee of Adjustment procedure and process, I would like to give a brief explanation and scope. Following some procedural matter that we have already undergone, the Secretary Treasurer will call the applications by announcing the application number, the name of the applicant, and address of the property subject to the application. The applicant or authorized agent representing the applicant will then come to the podium, state their name and address for the record, and then present the application. I request that you reserve any question or comment pertaining to the staff report until after planning staff has had an opportunity to present. If there is anyone in the attendance who wishes to speak to a particular application, you will be given the opportunity to do so when the application is presented. Any decision made here today may be appealed to the local planning appeal tribunal. Previously, through the Ontario Municipal Board, appeals received in the city clerk's office associated with minor variance and consent applications will be processed and forwarded to LPAT. This process may be commenced with the Secretary Treasurer by filing a completed appeal form and filing fee within the prescribed 20 days appeal period. Information pertaining to the appeal process may be obtained by contacting the Secretary Treasurer within the City Clerk's office. Now we move on to the new consent applications.
Calling application B 2020-0001, Reno Joseph Appa and Lori Catherine Appa. The properties are addressed as 3 Darlington Crescent, 13 Dorset Drive.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Reno Joseph Appa. My address is 3 Darlington Crescent, Brampton.
Lori Catherine Appa, address 3 Darlington Crescent.
Thank you. Anything you wish us to add beside we have your application in front of us?
Nothing, just I think it's pretty straightforward what we're trying to do, and I didn't know this was a law, but apparently it is, and we just want to get it separated, I guess, again.
Sure, no problem.
We need to sell the house.
Good members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, staff, could you please weigh in your comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff are of the view that application B 20-0001 is supportable subject to two conditions. Number one, that the existing shed located on the severed and retained lot shall be removed or relocated to comply with the zoning bylaw. Condition number two, that any existing easements on the severed and retained lot shall be established on title of each lot.
We also have some conditions by Secretary Treasurer, and these are 2 conditions, and it says 4 here total. So, sir, did you get the chance to review the staff report? Are you okay with the conditions with your shed in the backyard?
Yes,
you may
yes.
have to relocate, and
Yes.
some other conditions. Did you get the opportunity to go through this?
I have it here.
Okay, you understand and
Yes, yes.
agree?
Yes.
Okay, if no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed. Motion to support staff recommendation by Ms. Duffler, seconded by Mr. Cope. All in favor? Done, sir. You
Does
can
that mean-
proceed.
That means we're good to go?
You're good to go, but wait for 20 days, the appeal period.
20
You
days
can work
then?
with the staff meantime.
Okay,
So that's the standard procedure.
all right.
As I said in the beginning, that anyone wishes to appeal, the 20 days appeal period is the time.
They have 20 days, okay.
Yeah. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Calling application B 2020-0002, Swetsa Halani, Goldie Shaw, and Rajesh Shaw. The properties addressed as 57 and 59 Sea Drifter Crescent.
Good morning.
Morning.
If you can please proceed with your application, anything you wish us to add?
I don't.
Your name and address for the record then.
Anthony D'Angelo for Torque and Mains LLP at 151 Yonge Street in Toronto. I'm here on behalf of Sid Choister, who is the agent for the applicant.
Okay, and it's 57 Sea Drifter Crescent.
57 and 59.
Yep. Okay, committee members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, staff, could you please weigh in your comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, staff recommend the application B-2020-2 or -0002 is supportable.
Thank you. There's no condition suggested by the city staff, but we have some drafted conditions by Secretary Treasurer. Did you get a chance to look at them?
I have.
You understand and accept these conditions?
Yes.
Okay, if no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed. Motion to support staff recommendations by Mr. Power, seconded by Ms. Doffler. All in favor? This is approved.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Calling application A19-222, Paramajing Singh Shahal and Sarajit Kaur Shahal. The property is located at 8930 Credit View Road.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Harpreet Bons, and I'm an architect and applicant on this property, 8930 Credit View Road. Just to give you a little bit history on this is that there is an existing single-story bungalow on the property, and we are planning to put up a new house on the same lot. And the side setback as per zoning bylaw is around 7.5 meter. And we are proposing almost 3.35 meter on both sides, which is almost 11 feet. And I do have the looks of the new house. Somehow I think this is not working. I just want to show you, this will be the new house.
That's fine if that's part of your, I guess, your application. I
Yes.
guess it should work sometime. I think they're checking it. They said it's working. Here you go. Did you put your phone there, sir?
No, it should be a picture.
I guess they are, if you can place something else. The technical team is trying to do. You can continue. We'll get to see when they work.
Okay, the new house looks like, I can show to the committee member, this is how it looks like. And the rest of the team members. So definitely we are gonna improve the looks of the neighborhood over there. And we do have a support letter which we already submitted to the committee members from 27 members. I have details of that, which is being circulated to the committee earlier. So basically we are looking for a relief of almost 14 feet or less on both sides of the property. It's a huge lot. That's what we are asking. And I do understand from the planner, whatever he's saying, that we have to do tree protection. We'll take care of the tree protection, the drainage of the roof, from the water from the roof. We will take care of that. It should not go to the next door property. And basically, I agree to whatever the recommendation from the planner is. We will take care of that.
Okay, sure. Committee members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Sir, if you can come forward. With your name and address for the record.
Name is Mahesh Lad. Address is 8920 Credit View Road, neighboring on the south side of this property.
If you can please spell your name just for the record. So we have.
M-A-H-E-S-H. Last name Lad, L-A-D.
Okay.
And Uncle Patrick Mystery. Last name spelled P-M-I-S-T-R-Y.
Okay, and the address you already, Ms. Marsh, you have the address? Okay, that's good. Sir, you can start while you're here.
Okay, I'm here because I didn't know about the committee of adjustment thing until I got the letter from the city.
Yeah, that's the normal procedure.
Understood?
Yep.
So prior discussion with the neighbor indicated that his requirements met beyond city requirements. So I was surprised to get this letter. So read the letter, read the application, and it does not demonstrate why the 7.5 meters cannot be adhered to.
Anything else you wish us to add beside this?
The letter the gentleman just spoke about from, I guess it's his architect, said he's got 27 signatures. So the neighbor did come to our house and asked, and he showed us the drawings. And so that wasn't a consent to say that we're okay with any variations. It was purely to show the house and that we're okay with whatever design of the house he was building. So I think that's misleading because he put that in the application. So I just want to make sure the committee understands that that is not my consent to say that everything's okay.
Sorry, what is misleading in your opinion, sir?
The signature provided by myself with these 27 other neighbors to say that everything is okay with him building a property.
Did you sign one of those letters as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But the letter did not state anything. It was purely maybe a blank piece of paper with my name and address on it.
If you see the wording of the letter, it clearly says this is to certify that I, name of the owner of the property, address with the property, the neighbor being neighbor is your address, having no objection if our neighbor, Mr. Parmjit Singh Chahal, maintain interior side yard setback of 3.35 meter, which is equivalent to 11 feet from the both sides for his new two-story detached house to be constructed at 8930 Credit View Road, Brampton. I guess that's very straightforward language. It's layman's language.
No, that's not the letter I signed. I don't know what that letter is that you're referring to.
I just read the letter's language from all the letters put forward.
Anyway, so that's an object.
I'm
here to clarify that that's not a.
No, you're more than welcome to come, and thank you for coming here and taking the time. But end of the day, what we see here, there are a bunch of letters signed by you, and I have it here. Is that you?
I can't see from here, sir. That is my signature, correct.
So, sir, when you signed any letter, I'm sure you must have read. If you can read and understand the city's notice,
Yes.
I'm sure when your neighbor came to you and asked for your signatures.
Prior to me getting the city of Brampton letter saying adjustment is required. Correct.
So, under the act, the city requires to notify all the neighbors in certain radius. So that's why you received that letter, whether your neighbor come to you or not, or city does not think like that. They just want to notify you because that's the regular procedure we follow here.
Understood.
So
my point is sorry to interrupt. My point is that the representation provided at the time of signing this letter is that they meet everything that the city requires.
That's fine. We noted your concerns. Even if you signed the letters and now you don't support the letter, we understand.
Yeah. So I'm asking a motion to withdraw that letter and any representation from myself.
No problem. We would not consider your letter as signed.
Okay.
As the good thing you didn't sign a check and it didn't have been cashed out, right?
Yeah, that would have been a more difficult process.
Anyway, sir, do you like to add something? The gentleman next to you?
No, I'm good with what he's saying.
Okay, and did you sign a letter as well?
No, I didn't.
That's good, you didn't sign, right? So, no problem. Anything else you wish us to add?
Yeah, so the city planner gave a recommendation letter. And so I don't know how, like I said in the first statement, the 7.5 meter requirement for this side yard setback cannot be met. It doesn't demonstrate why. I don't understand why the variance is requested. Usually you say why you cannot meet the 7.5 requirements, meters, unless my understanding is incorrect.
We'll get to hear staff's opinion.
Okay.
And they will be explaining. Staff is putting their point of view as you are given your opinion.
Yeah.
And after listening to all the parties, then the committee will decide.
Okay.
Okay?
So there's other factors here. I don't know if people did a site review or whatever, but I was never consulted on whatever city planning was doing. So there is a number of things I'd like to express to, if this is the opportunity to do that,
Sure,
regarding
you can.
this neighborhood or the environment.
We normally have 5 to 10 minutes time frame.
Yeah,
but
I'll try to be brief.
that's okay. You can express your concerns, and if
Okay.
you need more time,
Yeah.
you can ask.
Yep. And so, by the way, I just want to be clear that we're happy that the neighbors are building a brand new home, and to look spectacular and uplift the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But as a neighbor, I've got to look after my
No,
concerns.
you have all the reasons to be a concerned neighbor, but at the same time, I guess your neighbor has shown the intent by following the proper procedure and the guidelines, and especially for this neighborhood or any other neighborhood, the city has very they go and they look every aspect, whether that's your exterior, interior, anything. The reason they are in front of this committee because things were going out of the bylaw, and that's why they're here to seeking this relief from the bylaw.
Okay.
So the city throughout the planning department will be looking after and checking each and everything moving forward when your neighbor proceed in the construction of their new home.
Okay.
But you can add your concerns, please.
Okay, so the number one is the privacy. I'm not sure, because there's no side elevation of the property provided to assess what the impact is to my doors and windows.
Okay.
So I see on the side of the building where the garage is facing, that will be facing my property. I don't know if that's right in front of the bedrooms. I don't know how that correlates or it lines up, so that's not stipulated. Point number two is about drainage, grading, and water surface runoff. That's been a problem for years, even when my property was built, circa 2000. So because of the grading, and I've called City of Brampton regarding this problem before, because all the runoff from the farmhouse behind them falls onto their property, and all that water runoff comes onto my property. So my sump pump is constantly ticking away, left, right, and center. So they told me if they ever change the landscape of the house or rebuild something, then new laws would come into effect to remedy that. So I haven't heard about any of that stuff, how that water collection is going to be remedied. The third is the loss of daylight sunlight due to projection of higher and closer property. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what that entails. We're all bungalows on this side of the property, and so we're a little bit lower elevation. So this is a higher elevation coming closer. I'm not sure what the impact is on that. I would have thought somebody in the city or somebody is looking at that and letting me know basically what the impact is of that. Because we are greater, point number 4, because we are greater open area and space, so we get a lot of wind tunneling, and so this is just going to increase the problem between the properties. So I don't know if that's been assessed, so I just want to find out if somebody's actually looked at that. Number 5 is the excavation of land causing earth slumping and land shifting. So we've had problems for years. And here's some pump, here's water, it leaks all over the place, and again, that's additional water that's coming on my side. About 7 years ago, we had the regional appeal take out the road in front of us and build a sanitary sewer. So at that point, we had shifting on my driveway, the curb sank, we had cracks, I had seal breaks in the windows. So this is a closer proximity, and I don't know how they're doing this, but but obviously we have concerns regarding how that's going to be excavated. Okay, and then just general construction. I don't know how those measures are going to be taken care of. And so we have a lot of, because we're kind of a country lane, we still have a lot of overhead wires and things like that. So I don't know how those have been administered through construction phase 2. But because of the runoff and everything, I think my biggest concern is all the water, concrete, sewage and everything, because the way the grading is most likely going to damage my property, fence, and things like that. So I just want those factors and measures taken into concern. I hear what I didn't see any of those concerns raised by the city planner letter in terms of conditions, so I'm bringing them forward to you now.
Let us get to hear the staff's opinion, what they say, and I'm sure they will be talking about the concerns you have raised.
Okay.
Okay?
Maybe
If you can.
Okay, and the other thing, sorry, there's in the application, if I want to be notified, is that something I tell you right now?
Your
Of
address
the
is
decision?
already here,
Okay.
so any future updates, you will be getting the notice. You will be notified.
Thank you so much.
Okay?
May I be seated?
Sorry?
May I be seated?
Yes, please. If you
Okay.
can step back, and we'll get to hear the staff. Or
Thank you.
anybody else at this point wishes to speak? Any other concerned neighbor? Seeing none. Staff, could you please weigh in your comments, and if the architect wishes to add something after staff's recommendations. Staff, please.
So through you, Mr. Chair, perhaps before we read our conditions that are supportive of this application, I'll just speak to the concerns raised by the neighbor. And the concerns are, they're reasonable concerns. However, the reason, just to provide a rationale for why staff don't look at these particular matters, is because the zoning on the property is as of right. So the applicant has the right to build this building. The reason we're here today is it's called a minor variance for a reason. It's a minor change to the zoning, which would already permit the applicant to build this property. If they did not want to vary the side yard setback, they would not be here today, and they would be allowed to build that house as of right. I think it's important to note for the members of the committee and for the applicant and the concerned neighbor that side yard reduction has been granted not only on the concerned neighbor's property, but on many of the other properties on this street. And I would note that the condition, if it were to be a zoning bylaw amendment, let's just say that the zoning did not permit a residential use, that's when we would be looking at more detailed issues such as privacy, daylighting, shadowing, those types of concerns. But our city's zoning bylaw already permits that, which means at a point in the past, we've already considered these items, which is why we're not looking at them today. Now, with that context provided,
Anything in related to height? Because right now, currently, the bungalow is there, and the proposed is the two-story.
Again, if it's permitted as of right, then we wouldn't comment on it. If
they're going out of the bylaw, then
if it was outside of it, they'd be here for a minor variance, not just for side yard setback, but also for the height, which they are not here for because it complies and conforms with the current zoning. So on that note, I'll turn it over to Manpreet, the planner on the file, to read his conditions.
Sure.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Staff recommends that application A-2019-0080 is supportable, subject to the following conditions being imposed. 1, that the extent of the variance be limited to that shown on the sketch attached to the public notice. 2, that temporary tree protection fencing be provided around the trees along the northwest property line and the trees in front of the property. Tree protection fencing shall be 1.2 meters high, plastic snow fencing with steel posts, and shall protect the root zone of the trees within the tree canopy area. 3, the roof drainage from the detached dwelling shall flow onto the applicant's property. And 4, that failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of the committee shall render the approval null and void. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we got to hear staff's opinion, and as it's self-explanatory on many of the concerns raised by the concerned neighbor, I just want to reconfirm, if I hear correctly, that this setback is requested by this applicant was also granted at the concerned neighbor's property. Am I correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it's a similar setback that was provided in 2002 on the concerned neighbor's property. In fact, the side yard setback requirement for the neighbor's property is slightly less than what is being requested here. They were granted approval for a 3-meter side yard setback, whereas their property also requires 7.5 meters based on the zoning bylaw.
So back to the concerned neighbor. I'll come to you, sir. Yeah, you can come. No problem. If you can please step aside a little bit. So as you heard, what they're asking today, you asked in 2002, or the previous owner,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And your setback was even bigger than what they are here today.
Understood.
As far as your concerns regarding the drainage, there's already a condition number 3 in the staff recommendation that the roof drainage from the detached dwelling shall flow into the applicant's property, not to the neighbor's property. So those of your concerns will be monitored, and they need to follow those recommendations, and the staff will be looking after those things. The rest of your concerns were, as you indicated earlier, right now there's a house and they are just asking for another house. It's not that it does not allowed for them to build a house, or they are not there to putting together any business or any high-rise apartment. So there's no zoning requirement or any other provision. So whatever they are doing, whatever they're doing is they are allowed to do it. And the second, I know as a concerned neighbor, you are here, and if I live on your property, I might have some concerns as well. So that's not the question that why you are here. In fact, you're taking your time and coming here, which is a good thing. But in terms of your sun blocking or any other genuine concerns, they are not going out of what is allowed. They are only here for the setback from the side, and that's what the committee is looking for. But the staff working very closely, monitoring this application, and that's the reason they add some other conditions to your concerns. So what I would like to do now, after I would like to talk to the gentleman at the back, their applicant, and I'm sure when both of you have intentions to live next to each other, and especially investing large amount of money to build, to live the property, I'm sure both of you want to work with each other for any of your concerns, and I'm sure your neighbor does understand as well that during the construction phase you will have some noise or some other aspects which both of you can work together and sort it out, those concerns. But as far as city's point of view, anything they need to monitor, they are doing it, and they will be doing in the future as well. Anything you wishes to add?
Yeah, so thanks for bringing
Not to
the
repeat
clarity.
the things we already discussed.
Yeah, and just clarity.
Sure.
So thanks for pointing out that my property did go through an adjustment and was approved for adjustment.
Yeah.
That's understood. So the point I'm raising there is they're all bungalows. We're not talking about a 2-story with the same type of setback. So that's a lot different than saying, okay, you're building another bungalow. Yeah, you should be allowed the same setback. But what we're saying here, you're building a 2-story home.
So your concern is they're building 2-story, not the bungalow.
Correct.
And back in the days, you could have put together a 2-story as well, but you chose to put a bungalow.
Correct.
So that's also, they're allowed. If they're going 3-story, 4-story or something else, then we would have objections, and then we would have assessed the applications in that fashion. But right now, whatever they're proposing, a 2-story structure, they're allowed to do that.
Understood. But is that the setback requirement would be the same or different?
I can reconfirm with the staff, but in my opinion, yes, it's the same requirement. Staff for
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, the zoning bylaw sets a minimum setback and then a maximum building height, and they do not correlate. There's no reduction in setback if you have a lower building height. It is simply a maximum building height and a minimum side yard setback. In this case, the minimum side yard setback is 7.5. They're seeking to deviate from that. There is no variance before you for building height because they're building within the permitted height allowed by the zoning bylaw.
Okay, so thanks for that clarity. And I'm pointing out again in the application, none of these facts were actually represented.
Well, I don't think so. They need to be, sir, because it's allowed under the zoning bylaw.
Okay.
The only thing in this application need to be mentioned, whatever is not allowed, whatever they can't do, whatever they can do, that's the standard procedure. They don't need to indicate in the application.
Okay.
But I'm sure you can ask any of your question. You can get back to our city staff after the meeting,
Yep.
or in the future. You can write it down to them, and they'll get back to you. But you can right now. The best part is we had the detailed discussion. After we get to hear the entire application, once you step out, you can talk to your neighbor, go for a coffee, sit with him maybe, and discuss with all.
Neighbor and I get along. We're just clarifying facts because I want to make sure
right
I'm
now
not
the
surprised
architect is here,
Yep.
and you can ask any of the question as a concerned neighbor.
Okay, so regarding the drainage thing, so is that the drainage from the property that will be built to?
So
go
their
to the house,
drainage
or
will
they're
not
talking
be
about-
coming at your property. That's the condition number 3.
Sorry.
I can see.
I'm just trying to clarify what drainage means. Is that drainage that the rain that falls on the roof, or is that drainage for the rain that falls on the land?
I think once it's fall on the roof, that comes to the ground as well.
Well, there's a difference because it's a huge area. That's my point is, the ones that fall on the rain that falls on the land is all overflowing on my property today.
So you
It's
mean
never been resolved.
So
It's
you
never been
mean the
resolved.
water that stays on the ground, that's also overflows into
Absolutely.
your property?
It's huge.
So that may be the sloping issue you are indicating?
Yes. And whatever construction they do, that will continue to flow on my land.
So let me get back to the staff. It says the third condition, the roof drainage. The gentleman is indicating any of the water flow from the property is, I don't think so we can stop the flow if it's coming from the property further down.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are approved grading and drainage patterns, and it's quite possible that if the city staff has already been out there, our public works staff would be responsible for ensuring that drainage patterns are in place and maintained, that is the expectation, is that drainage does flow across this property and onto the neighbors, and perhaps past that neighbor's property and onto or into a catch basin somewhere else, or the culvert that's in front of the street here. So that would be part of the approved drainage pattern for the entire area, rather than as a result of any activity that's taking place on this particular property. Obviously, the condition that's being imposed is to direct any drainage resulting from the roof and any of the hard and impervious surfaces on this property be maintained to flow on this property so that it's not directed at the neighbor's property, but that doesn't mean that the overall drainage pattern for the neighborhood doesn't continue to flow as it was designed to across those properties.
Okay.
So I understand. So I get the verbiage, but like I said, like in 2000 when our house was built, those provisions for allowing a swale or something on that side of the property to collect his water and drain out the property was never there. After 2000 and I would say 8 or something, like from the city again, because it was increasing over time, and basement leakage and all kinds of other issues. But at that time, the city planner said there's nothing they can do unless the neighbor changes the property. So there's a change in property, so I'm asking what is the requirements to prevent or reduce the water coming over onto my side of the property now?
As I said earlier, and staff clearly explained that comes to the public works.
Okay.
What this committee is responsible for the changes they are doing to the building. And what I see in the staff recommendation, the condition is there, and that is satisfying me at this point. I need to check my committee members' opinion.
Yeah.
If you have any other issue in the future, you can always write down, and you can have the contact, you can write down your concerns to the city, and they will be addressing your concerns.
Yeah.
So I think we had enough discussion.
Yep.
And if you have any new information specifically, you can discuss now, or you can bring to our attention. Otherwise, if you can please step back, I'd like to discuss more with the applicant and their agent.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Ron. Just to clarify that last point, sorry, I won't take long.
No problem.
The existing problems will continue to exist now, during construction, and after. Because there's no remediation or setback you're provisioning for him to actually during construction. So
Okay.
that will just increase damage.
Okay, we noted your concerns.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you so much for being here. Sir, quickly, we already had good enough discussion. Anything you want to add, quickly do, and then we'd like to proceed.
Just want to reassure the committee members that there is a procedure called site grading and drainage plan, which is a part of building permit application being approved by the city. Like that grading plan will be prepared by us and will be approved by the city, so there's no way the water will drain off to the next door property. I mean, those are fundamentals that we don't want to bring those plans right now to the committee. That is obviously a process which we have to follow.
Yep.
And I'll reassure that once we do the site grading and site drainage plan prepared by a surveyor, we will take care of all those. And we do have some neighbors who are in support of the application. I don't know whether you want to hear from them.
If
or-
their name is already in those submitted letters, then we don't need, but if they can just stand one time for all the neighbors who are supporting this application, that'll be good enough for the committee.
Stand.
Sir, are you in support as well? Okay, thank you. Yeah, and all of you already signed those letters we have, right? Okay, thank you. Anything else you wish us to add?
No.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
want to say one thing more.
And you are the owner of the property, right?
I am Paramjit Chahal.
Okay.
930. Regarding the privacy, we have the garage on that side. We don't have any room above the garage.
Okay.
So we have only 2 windows on the garage.
Mhm.
Whatever the privacy he wants, if he don't want the window, anywhere he wants the window, we will add the window. If he don't want the window in the garage, we will take out the windows from. I will take care of all his privacies.
That's good. But I guess these discussions after today's meeting, you can have with your neighbor, and maybe you can accommodate his wishes, maybe you don't. You like to do it, but maybe your architect, because whenever you are putting together any room, you have to have a window for the natural light in order for you to call that room a room. You need to have a window. You can't just close the window, but it's not for me to comment. Certainly, you can work with your neighbor, your architect, your planners in the future. But I understand your willingness to work with your neighbor, which is a good sign.
Yeah, we will make happen.
That's good. That's good. Okay, if no further discussion, but last time, do you understand and accept all these
Definitely.
conditions by the city staff?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, if no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed.
Motion to proceed with staff's recommendation.
Motion to proceed with staff recommendation by Mr. Cope, seconded by Mr. Power. All in favor? This is approved with conditions.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling application A19-224, Pranav and Hema Dave. The property is located at 13 Lampman Crescent.
Good morning, the chair and the committee member. So, for the record, myself Sarvjit. I'm an architectural technologist from the company HNS Engineering and representing the owner. The application is regarding the rear setback change from 7.5 meters to 4.17. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, anything else you wish us to add?
No.
Committee members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak for this application? Seeing none. We do have a letter from 35 Lampman Crescent stating their concerns and regarding this extension It will be an eyesore and will reduce the privacy in our backyard, which would potentially negatively impact the resale value of our home. By Sue Gurnham, and they wish us to be notified the decision after we get to hear this application. Just wanted to add for the record. Staff, could you please begin your comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the application A-2019-0082 is supportable, subject to the following conditions being imposed. 1, that the extent of the variance be limited to that shown on the sketch attached to the public notice. 2, that the drainage from the sunroom roof shall flow onto the applicant's property. 3, that the drainage on adjacent property shall not be adversely affected. 4, that the elevations of the proposed sunroom be submitted and approved to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning and Development Services prior to commencing construction. And 5, that the failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of the committee shall render the approval null and void. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You understand and accept these conditions?
Yes.
Committee members, if no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed. Motion to support staff recommendation by Mr. Cope, seconded by Ms. Duffler. All in favor? This is approved.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Calling application A-19-225 Taranjeet and Prabneet Mathuru. The property is located at 58 Unwind Crescent.
Good morning, everyone. I think there's a spelling mistake there in the last name. It should be M-A-T-H.
M-A-T-H?
Yeah.
Not M-A-T-H-A-R-O-O?
M-A-T-H-A-R-O instead of M-A-T-T.
Oh, just in one name?
Yes.
That's
one
fine.
letter.
No problem.
So I'm the owner of the property. My name is Taranjeet Mathuru, and my wife Prabneet Mathuru, she's not here. This application is for 2 minor variances. One is for the rear setback, and one is for the front setback. The bylaw requirement is 4.5 meters, and we are requesting 2.97 meters for a proposed deck for personal use. And for the front setback, the bylaw requirements are 4.5 meters, and we are requesting 4.31 meters, so that's additional 0.19 meters.
Okay, no problem. Committee members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, staff, could you please begin your comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff is recommending approval of application A-19-225, subject to a number of conditions. Condition number 1, that approval of the Credit Valley Conservation Authority be obtained. Number 2, that a building permit for the front porch enclosure be obtained within 60 days of the decision of the approval. Condition number 3, that the extent of the variances be limited to that shown on the sketch attached to the public notice. And condition number 4, that failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of the committee shall render the approval null and void. Thank you.
You understand and accept these conditions?
The condition 1 has already been met, so this is a permit from, or the no objection certificate from Credit Valley Conservation.
Yeah, so when you can submit that with the application, or if you already done, this is the standard procedure.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You understand and accept?
I do accept.
Okay, that's good. And it's good to see that you're adding the value into your property. Board members, no further discussion. Looking for a motion. Motion to approve staff recommendations. Seconded by Ms. Duffler. Motion put forward by Mr. Cope. All in favor? Yes, it's approved.
Thank you, committee. Thank you.
Calling application A-19-226 Milan Dozen and Della Borca Dozen. The property is located at 364 Center Street North.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Milan, 364 Center Street North, that's Brampton.
Okay, and your name is, sir?
My name is Milan.
Okay. You're the property owner, right?
Yes.
Would you like to add anything beside as already stated?
No, I just need this little bit of variance.
Sure, no problem. Any question, comment, concern, committee members? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, staff, could you please weigh in your comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff recommends approval of application A19-226, subject to 3 conditions. Condition number 1, that a building permit shall be obtained within 60 days of the decision of the approval for the proposed addition. Condition number 2, that the extent of the variances be limited to that shown on the sketch attached to the public notice. And condition number 3, that failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of the committee shall render the approval null and void. Thank you.
So you understand and accept these conditions?
I didn't understand 100% conditions.
So these are the standard conditions. The number 1 is the permit you need to obtain in next 60 days from the
Okay.
approval,
Okay.
which is a standard condition. All 3 conditions are very standard, so you don't need to worry about them if you are going to follow the procedure anyway. Okay? The next is the variance you are requesting. The reason you are in front of us, you provided a sketch. It has to be according to that sketch. You cannot go like you're asking for something else and you're doing something else.
Yes.
That's
yes, yes.
that's what the second condition says. The third condition is a standard condition that you're gonna follow both number 1 and number 2 condition. If you're not following, then this approval will be null and void.
Okay.
You understand now, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Understood. Thank you for explaining.
No problem, no problem by all means. Motion to proceed with staff recommendation by Mr. Power, seconded by Ms. Duffler. All in favor? This is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling application A19-227, Sarashka Sharma. The property is located at 8027 Churchville Road.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
This is Salman Ilahi from Conserve Architecture, representing my client at property 8027 Churchville Road.
Anything you wish us to add?
We are okay with the staff recommendations, and we do understand, and if there is anything else, we are ready to comply with that one.
Okay, that's good to know. Any question, comments at this point, committee members? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, staff, could you please weigh in your comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, staff recommends that this application is supportable, subject to the following conditions being imposed. 1, that a limited site plan application shall be submitted for the canopy addition within 90 days of the committee's decision, and that site plan shall be approved and implemented within 90 days of the committee's final decision, or with an extended period of time as approved by the Director of Development Services. 2, that the extent of the below-grade entrance variance be limited to that shown on the sketch attached to the public notice. 3, that the below-grade entrance shall not be used to access an unregistered second unit. 4, that the drainage on adjacent property shall not be adversely affected. And 5, that the failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of committee shall render the approval null and void. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Lai, you understand and accept these conditions?
Yes.
Okay, if no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just have one quick question.
Sure.
Has there been any issues with any parking or traffic issues in that area?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, there's no indication of anything in our records.
Mr. Power, did you notice something? That's the reason you asked?
Well, it's one way either way, and it's an older road, right?
Okay,
So I was just wondering if there's been any issues with parking or traffic in that area?
okay,
If you give me 1 minute, I
Sure.
can double check.
sure.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are some indications that over the years that this, and I understand it's a place of worship operating there, that there have been a few calls for parking, primarily parking in areas where parking is not permitted. Yeah, but nothing this year, and only 4 or 5 in 2019.
So this year, we are in the beginning.
We are still only in February.
But anyway, I'm sure your client will be paying close attention if there's any concern or any issue.
Yes.
So no problem. I hope that resolves all the concerns. If no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed. Motion. Recommendation by Mr. Cope, seconded by Ms. Doffler. All in favor? You're good to go, Mr. Lloyd.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Calling application A 2020-0001, Aji Assez and Irene Sapong, National Remediation and Recovery, Inc., and the property is located at 2131 Williams Parkway.
Good morning, staff members. My name is Jiftesh Bela from Noble Elite Solutions. I'm the authorized agent to represent National Remediation and Recovery, Inc., and we are requesting a minor variance to permit a professional office where the bylaw does not permit a professional office. And I've read the staff report, and we accept the conditions in the staff report, and no further comments from our side.
Okay, could you please say your name again?
Jiftesh, Jivtesh.
And last name?
Bela, Bhaila.
And the address is 249-2130 North?
That's our company address, correct?
Okay,
Yep.
I just wanted to double check because it says another name.
Yeah, Harshdeep,
Yeah.
he's our.
Yeah, that's fine. Committee members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none. Staff, could you please weigh in your comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the application A-2020-0001 is supportable, subject to the following conditions being imposed. 1, that the extent of the variance be limited to Unit 19, as shown on the sketch attached to the public notice. 2, that a clause be included within the agreement of purchase and sale for the property 2131 Williams Parkway, Unit 19, advising of the variances affecting the property. In the event the property has been sold, the applicant shall provide written confirmation to the Secretary Treasurer that the purchaser acknowledges and accepts the variances. And 3, that failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of committee shall render the approval null and void. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you understand and accept these conditions as you said, right?
Yes, I do understand, accept conditions.
Okay, if no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed. Anyone?
Sure. Motion to proceed with staff's recommendations.
By Mr. Cope, seconded by Ms. Doffler. All in favor? This is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling application A 2020-0002, Aji Assez and Irene Sapong. The property is located at 25 Frederick Street.
Good morning. My name is Ajay Asiasi. The property address is 25 Frederick, Brampton.
Anything you wish us to add beside this application in front of us?
No.
That's a good answer, sir. Committee members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Saying none. Anyone in the audience? Sir, please come forward with your name and address and for the record and your concerns.
Hi, my name is Jim Delzell. I live at 1 Fraser Avenue in Brampton.
Let me just quickly check. Ms. Matt, did you grab the name or you need the spell? Okay, that's good. Please continue.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be present.
Thanks for being here.
Yep, no problem. Just concerned neighbor about the closeness of the house or the addition, I guess, to the house beside. Trying to understand the definition of minor variance. Now, the requests here are in 2 of the 3 variances that we're looking for, about 50%. One of them even more than 50% of what the minimum requirement is. So that, to me, is starting to get a little bit too close to the house beside. The house already has an addition on the back where there was a variance, I guess, granted. I think it's about 1.2 meters, so it's about 4 feet from the house beside it. You can see how close it is. This particular variance is being asked that's closer to the street, so it'll be much more visible to the street and the aesthetics of the neighborhood. I think people move into the area because of the size of the lots and because of the distance between the homes. And this is, with the variance being asked for what it is, down to 1 meter, 3 meters there and 1.2 meters at the back, it really it's not what the purpose of the neighborhood is. I don't propose to be able to explain the drainage or any water footprint. I'm sure the architects will look after that. So my concerns are more aesthetic than anything. And I just wanted to go on the record as opposing the closeness of this request to the neighbors. Like I said, more than 50% in some cases of variance.
Staff will be able to answer your questions, and they understand your concerns, and you will be notified as you already given your information in any future correspondence. Okay?
Yep, okay, thank you.
Okay, so anybody else here to speak? Seeing none. Staff, could you please weigh in your comments, Mr. Crusoe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, to speak to the neighbor's point about the variance and the extent of the variance, it should be noted on this application that this is the closest point to the property line. So the setbacks do increase as you move along, whether it be south of the building or towards the west of the building. So, like I said, this is the closest point. So there is a condition as part of the approval that speaks to the variances be limited to that's shown on the sketch on the drawing. So that hopefully takes care of some of the neighbors' concerns. Generally, our setbacks to side yard side property line is throughout the city is generally 1.2 meters.
Yeah.
I think he's exceeded that, or he's exceeded that. 1.2. It's actually at 1.2 meters. As far as the building being close to the lot line, generally we're looking throughout the city to have buildings closer to the front lot line. So that's sort of a general guideline for urban design principle. So this application was reviewed against the minor variance criteria under the Planning Act and found to be supportable, and subject to the following: that the extent of the variances be limited to that shown on the sketch attached to the public notice, that the applicant obtain a building permit for the proposed garage prior to commencement of construction, that the applicant obtain a tree removal permit for the removal of trees over 30 centimeters in diameter, that drainage from the proposed attached garage shall flow onto the owner's property and drainage on adjacent property shall not be adversely affected, and that failure to comply and maintain the conditions of the committee will render the approval null and void.
Thank you. You understand, and okay. Gentleman is walking out, so that means he got all the answers he was looking for. You understand and accept these
I understand everything, sir. And that gentleman, his house is always opposite to my house. He's 20, 50 feet away from me, so I don't know what his problem is. I've been already talked to the neighbors and I spoke to them.
You can say that. Yeah. He's here as a concerned neighbor, and we appreciate that he's taking the time and bringing his concerns. Yeah. That's not you to decide our comments.
I agree.
We are here for that. Okay, sir?
Thanks.
Okay. You understand and accept these conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed by Mr. Power, supporting staff recommendations, seconded by Ms. Doffler. All in favor? This is approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Calling applications A 2020-004 and A 2020-005, Mattamy Mount Pleasant North Limited. Properties are located on Queen Mary Drive.
morning. My name is Catherine McEwen from Corsiac Urban Planning.
Okay. Would you like to add anything beside your application?
I've had a chance to review staff report. I think they cover everything and be happy to answer any questions, or if you would like a presentation, I'd be more than happy to.
No, we have your information in front of us, and the notice has been circulated. So we are fine, but if committee members has any question, they will ask committee members any question, comment at this point. You'd like to have the presentation, or we already have in the package? All good? Anyone in the audience wishes to see this presentation? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience wishes to come forward and speak on this application? Seeing none. Staff, could you please weigh in your comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff recommends approval of applications A 2020-004 and A 2020-005, subject to two conditions in each case. Condition number 1, that the extent of the variance be limited to that shown on the sketch attached to the public notice, and that failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of the committee shall render the approval null and void. Thank you.
As you already indicated, you understand and accept these conditions, right?
Yep.
So if no further discussion, looking for a motion to proceed. Motion to support staff recommendation by Mr. Cope, seconded by Ms. Doffler. All in favor? This is approved.
Thank you.
Calling application A19-194, Charanpreet Ramana and Ramandeep Dhaliwal. The property is located at 1 La Park Road.
Good morning, members again. Jeff Deshbela from Noble Elite Solutions, 249-2130 North Park Drive. I'm here to represent Charanjit Singh Ramana and Ramandeep Dhaliwal for property address 1 Lee Park Road. And we requested, this is a deferred minor application, and we changed the plan on this, and we are requesting now 2 minor variances to allow a below-grade entrance in the side yard with a setback of 1.75 feet, where the allowance is only 1.97 feet. And I've read the staff recommendations and report, and we do accept the conditions for now. And if they have any more questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Sure, Mr. Bela, I remember this application was in front of us a couple of months back.
Correct, yeah.
And it's a corner property, and initially they were requesting step-down entrance from the side, visible clearly from the intersection.
Correct.
So I guess that was not appropriate, and that's what they admitted.
That was not supported by the members and the staff. And,
yeah.
Now we have changed.
Yeah, no, I'm glad things are working for them, and now they choose to go into the backyard.
To the side yard, but on the other side, which is hidden
yes,
from
which is not visible from the main intersection or from the side.
That's
and
right.
They meet all the requirements, which is good.
Yeah.
No problem. Committee members, any question, comment, concern at this point? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none. Staff, could you please weigh in your comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, staff recommend that this application is supportable, subject to the following conditions being imposed. 1, that the extent of the variances be limited to that shown on the sketch attached to the public notice. 2, that the below-grade entrance shall not be used to access an unregistered second unit. And 3, that the failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of the committee shall render the approval null and void. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You understand and accept, as you said?
That is correct.
With no further discussion, committee members, looking for a motion to proceed. Motion to support staff recommendation by Ms. Duffler, seconded by Mr. Cope. Yep. All in favor? This is approved.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. That's it. If no further, sir, are you here for something?
Yes.
What's this regarding? I guess we, if you can please come forward and say your name and address for the record.
It's for the parking.
Your name and address.
Sorry, my name is Kashyap, and I live in Niagara Falls.
8083 Bucky Crescent Avenue.
If you can please spell your name.
Yeah, it's a Kashyap.
Kashyap.
Kashyap,
Kashyap.
Yeah.
And last name?
Patel.
Patel.
Yeah.
And your address, please?
8083 Bucky Crescent Avenue, Niagara Falls.
How you spell it? Not Niagara, the Bucky Crescent.
Buckey.
Okay. And your postal code, please. I know. I'm very tough, eh?
I'm not good in postal code. L2H09, 0H9.
And now if you can please indicate what is the matter, and you have any notice in your hand, or?
Sorry?
What, do you?
I have a pen and notice.
Sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm first time, so I'm
That's okay. Don't worry.
nervous.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think this may be, it's for a parking violation. I don't believe it's for a matter that's before this committee today. It may be a matter that would need to be dealt with or addressed down at our clerk's office.
Downstairs?
Yes, yeah. I think
Not at
so.
5 Real Lawson?
Parking violation should be done at 5 Real Lawson.
It says payment in person to Wellington, first floor,
Okay.
if that's the,
Okay. I wish I can waive your fee, man. I feel for you, but it's not, it's just out of my jurisdiction.
Just said go to the courtroom 1, but I'm not sure where is the courtroom.
I think that's, so we will, after the meeting, we are just about to end our meeting. We'll help you, or the staff will be guiding you properly.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you.
If no further discussion, no application, looking for a motion to adjourn by Mr. Power with no conditions. And Mr. Cope, second by Mr. Cope, all in favor? This meeting is officially adjourned.